The reason I tell you this is the time has come that we need to be able to sit down and talk about how we're going to do this all together as a region. We have a system that really needs some help. We have a system that does not only affect Toledo, but it affects all of Northwest Ohio. As I just stated, if we had had a problem in Toledo that day, it would have affected everybody in Northwest Ohio. And so what I'm doing is I'm trying to reach out to the communities, and I've been doing it for about a year, to sit down and figure out how can we start to work on replacing and rebuilding this thing to the benefit of the whole region, not just Toledo. The Regional Water Authority, developed under the Ohio Revised Code, will allow for us to share these resources. But see, Toledo has never been one willing to come to the table and be able to share. What I'm saying is that if we can figure out how to do this together, we can actually leverage our ability as a community to be able to grow and from the standpoint of our economic development. Now, one of the concerns that I always have is that when we're reaching out, and especially when we're reaching out all the way across the other side of the world, to be able to bring people here. See, when they come with visions a lot bigger than maybe some of the people inside our own city have on what can occur. And they come with ideas of, well, if I buy this much land or this much land, or if I do this, how does it work with all of you together to be able to meet the needs that I might have for my company or what I want to be able to do? Well, if we're so segmented that we can't work together, all that does is allow for the opportunity of those individuals who actually want to come to the United States to go somewhere else in the United States and not the city of Toledo and not Northwest Ohio. I think it's my job to be able to figure out, along with other elected officials, on how we figure out how to make and leverage Northwest Ohio. Because see, if we can figure out how to do this issue with the water, then the next issue we need to be able to figure out is that how do we start to create joint economic development zones that work all together with all of us. One large economic development zone. Now, typically people have been worried about that because, see, I got to keep my identity. I got to keep my identity. I don't want to be associated with whatever. But if you watch sports teams when they play all-star games, they all show up with their different helmets on or different uniforms sometimes, and they end up being on the same team for a short period of time, and all for the benefit of the team. What I think we have to do is figure out how do we create a team here? How do we start believing in each other? Now, I can tell you that we actively work very closely with the RGP, the Port. We work very closely with the University of Toledo, Ohio Grows, LCIC. We all sit at the table now and we all talk about how do we do this. And we need to be able to figure out how to do it in a way that's going to be advantageous to all of us. I think the time is now. We actually have a group of people that are actually involved with the branding, the Toledo regional branding. And they're trying to figure out how do we take and market the ideas, the concepts of what's happening here in Toledo and Northwest Ohio so that we're speaking with one voice. Do you know how difficult it is when people are trying to come here and trying to figure out who they need to talk to? When you're trying to get people to come into your community and you want them to be able to move forward, and they're saying, well, I don't know who I need to talk to. That gets to be difficult for them. And what we have to do if we want to be competitive here, if we want to bring ourselves out of this economic recession and we want to be the first out of it, we have to figure out, okay, how do we start to take our resources, whatever they are, and figure out how to work together to be able to have that one voice that moves forward and makes it very simple for people to understand what needs to happen. We're moving in that direction. And I'm so proud of the people who have gotten involved. We have private partners that have gotten involved and people who are stepping up to the plate to help finance and move forward with that idea of branding, because that idea has been out there for a long time, but we haven't done very much with it. And so I'm so excited about that portion. We're excited about the Marina District. Marina District actually is just a sign of some things that can happen in the city of Toledo. The Marina District is just one project that somebody saw sitting somewhere and said, you know, I think we can do something with that. Just like the Standard Lofts over here, where somebody looked at the building and said, I think we can do something here. Just like a restaurant that's coming downtown that somebody looked at the building and said, I think we can do something here. See, people are starting to believe that they can actually accomplish things in Toledo and Northwest Ohio. It isn't just about us. We report to people, and they're expecting that we learn and figure out how to work together. It really doesn't make a difference if you're an R, a D, an I. It doesn't really make a difference if you live in Fulton County, Wood County, or Lucas County. To those people, what makes a difference to them is that at night they have food on their table, they have the amenities that are necessary to survive, they have a house, and that we've worked hard enough to create that environment for them. That's what they care about. They don't care about the letters. Only people that care about the letters are the people who have the letters, okay? But the other ones, they don't care. Because to them, they're just looking for basic things to occur. Now, we've had some pretty major projects happen this year. We had the Marina District. We got the casino that will happen sooner or later here, okay? Now, I can tell you, I've talked to Richard. Richard is a serious man, okay? And he's not going to let anything stand in his way, but to us, the reason it is so important to get that thing underway is that for every month that it is not functioning based on our expectations this year, it costs the city of Toledo about $500,000. And so when you have budgets that are so lean, and you have projections that you're trying to move through, you want to see the success of companies that come to your city. The GM is expanding. Jeep is expanding. We are getting people that really actually want to reinvest in Toledo and Northwest Ohio. I think that that's great. We have taken grants and been able to leverage those to be able to create some great projects here. We have been able to establish a cleanup of the Jeep Parkway and being able to transfer land over to Lucas County Port Authority so that they can actually help us leverage jobs to that location. We've abated and demolished areas in our uptown areas so that they can actually create a signature park. We're taking down the Playbell building and helping with some issues related to that. We've done asbestos abatement in the Madison building. We've actually gotten involved with a green roof project and bioswales project for the Toledo School of the Arts. We've also done remediation in the tower on the Maumee, the VA clinic that's happening out there on the University of Toledo campus, the James M. Schoonmaker Museum, which will be happening this year, and also the Columbia Gas building. We have probably leveraged in that about $7 million worth of grants to be able to help us. And so it is moving in a very, very positive direction. We're also when you're a struggling economy, you look for anything that sort of starts to give you a sign of things that are getting better. One of these signs is actually in our inspection department, where we're having an increase in the applications for new building permits, plan reviews, and construction of commercial buildings and residential sectors. We also have had 126 new home or apartment inspections in the last year. In addition, we're seeing an increase in the plan reviews of the Lucas County Planning Commission, which is also a good sign that your economy is starting to turn around. Because when people start building again, that means that, or taking the permits out, that means some good things are starting to happen in your area. And it stays very underneath the radar screen. But with these good things happening, there are also issues that we have to be able to deal with inside our city. One of the biggest issues that we've had to deal with in the last 45 days is trying to figure out exactly what we need to do involving our Department of Neighborhoods. Now, I can tell you that we have actually done an internal investigation, and I'm not pleased with what I found. In fact, it was extremely disappointing. But what we're trying to do is actually, once again, right the ship. and do it in a way that is very positive for the citizens of Toledo. We have actually installed a new director by the name of Lourdes Santiago. She's back there somewhere hiding, I'm quite sure, in the crowd. And it is important for me that we take care of this issue and we take care of it with integrity, and we're just straightforward with it. Have no hidden agendas, no reason to hide. And to that means that in a very short period of time, within this week, we will release a report that will actually tell what we were able to find and be able to explain what we're going to do to be able to fix the problem. The reason it is so important to fix it is that we have a multitude of federal dollars that come to us. And we want to make sure that the federal government understands that we have things in order to be able to move forward. And so we will be doing that. But this particular neighborhoods group deals with a lot of the issues of quality of life in our neighborhoods. They do a lot of the cleanup that's necessary in those neighborhoods. They do a lot with helping to refurbish houses in those neighborhoods. They do a lot to just make a neighborhood a neighborhood. And so from my standpoint, it's extremely important to stabilize that particular area and be able to do it in a very professional way that people will have confidence again in our neighborhoods department. I'm quite sure, with Lourdes Santiago at the head, that it will work, and it will work in a very efficient manner. So I am just proud to have her on board. Now, we have been going through an issue of people believing that this is somehow an unsafe city. I can tell you that it is not. It is a truly safe city. One of the things that I think we get lost in sometimes is that Toledo is a major metropolitan city. And when we compare ourselves to other major metropolitan cities, we find that our numbers for the things that are happening here typically are less than other cities equally situated in our size. But we need people to stay positive. We need people to start believing in what we can do. When it comes to being able to replace police officers and firefighters, to start off with, I think that we have a very good fire department. I think we have a really good police department. Now, what you've seen in the last couple years is us attempting to replace those individuals. What we came into, I think, in office was almost a perfect storm for being able to fail and being able to put those types of organizations back together. What you have to realize is that what we're trying to do is we're trying to catch up on a curve that for about 4 years wasn't filled. The last class that we had of police officers before we entered this office of the Bell administration was in 2006, of police or fire. Now, if you cap that off with that there are people leaving during that period of time, and then you cap it off that we come into office with such a deficit, now you got to figure out how have we then been able to hire police officers and firefighters to catch up, because we were way behind the curve, at least 4 years, because people are leaving all the time. Well, I can tell you that right now we've hired 79 police officers in the last 2 years. We've hired 97 firefighters. That's a part that you probably don't hear about, but we've hired police officers and firefighters. The problem is that we had very large classes about 30 or so years ago, and people started leaving departments. They're all leaving at the right time. And so by being a little bit behind the 8 ball those 4 years, we're still trying to catch up. But I can tell you that it is my intent within the next couple of years to try to get the police staffing levels up to at least 600 people, which right now they're sitting at about 545, so that gets them up to closer to where they used to be, and we'll continue to move as long as our economy continues to grow. But it takes time to do that. We have 2 new chiefs. We have Chief Lou Santiago, Lou, would you stand up, and Chief Derek Diggs.